first day of MagicCon Vegas, they have revealed a new Magic the Gathering card from Edges of Eternity. That's right, if you haven't been done with Final Fantasy, maybe you couldn't get your products to open yet, don't worry, there's no brakes on this hype train. I'll be honest, I'm pretty excited for Edges of Eternity as someone who's super into Star Wars and pretty into things like Star Trek and other space opera and science fiction. I am looking forward to seeing the Magic Multiverse's Edges, the area where all these planets are together and there's ships and space battles and Tezzeret sitting in a cool chair. But I do also appreciate that it's absolutely exhausting to keep up with Magic. But don't worry, I'm here to help you keep up with Magic. Here's another thing about Magic. Keep up. If you want to buy a single card or sealed product in the North American Peninsula, you can do so from CoolStuffInc.com. Use the code Kenobi at checkout to get 5% off your order. Helps support the show, and it makes you cool. That's the most important part. And in Europe, you can pre-order Edge of Eternity now from magicmadhouse.co.uk. But if you're buying anything that's not pre-order and not sale, you can use the on-screen code right now to get 5% off your order, and it helps to support the show. That's right, baby. Support these tits. Tezzeret Cruel Captain is a 3-mana planeswalker that enters with 4 loyalty. And yes, this is a low-resolution image because all we've got is someone's fucking photograph from the event. Don't get pissy in the comments. He's still got that arm that's like a big laser gun, I think, because when you activated the 4-mana one on Arena, the big laser gun entered the chat and shot your opponent in the face. And he's now colorless, which is, I think, because he got turned into dark steel by Jink attacks as either punishment or reward for his actions during the Phyrexian invasion. Something like that. His alternative art here has him sat on a mechanical throne with like all this scrolls and things like hanging down. I do love a good hanging scroll. Loving this stuff. He's a legendary planeswalker Tezzeret, and he does not have any other lines. He is not an artifact, but he is colorless. I'll come back to that in a moment. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a loyalty counter on Tezzeret, so he gets more and more loyal the more and more you play artifacts or make artifact tokens. His 0 is untap target artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. His -3 is search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle. That's right, 80% of you just shouted out the word Soul Ring because you're a basic bitch. And -7 is you get an emblem with at the beginning of combat on your turn, put 3 +1/+1 counters on target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. Now, colorless planeswalkers used to be a bit of a rarity, but it seems like we get one every single set for the past 3 sets, which is pretty wild. Not including Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy had no planeswalkers, so it can be let off. This is our first 3-mana colorless planeswalker. We've had multiple 4-mana Khans in the past, which is interesting because, well, 3-mana walkers used to be like the most powerful versions, right? Liliana of the Veil once upon a time was good enough not to ever be printed into Standard, but now she's in Standard and she's only marginally good. The classic way of describing whether or not a planeswalker is good is to ask, can it protect itself? That means it comes into play and makes a body to block, or it comes into play and at least removes for a cheap cost the threat attacking it, or defends itself in another way. Tezzeret only defends itself in as much as that if you have a artifact creature, or a creature should I say, you can untap it with Tezzeret Cruel Captain. That's the first important point. It untaps target artifact or creature. It puts the counter on it if the creature is also an artifact. So it's minor protection. I'll be honest, it's not good protection. That's what makes me think that this planeswalker is not going to see a huge amount of play in most places. His passive is certainly abusable. If you're making multiple clues, food, what's the other one that gets made off of a candy manufacturer? Treasures, that's it. How do I forget about treasures? If you make a lot of treasures, then Tezzeret gets 1,000,000 loyalty as you make those tokens. If you play 0-mana artifacts like Mana Rocks, like Moxen or Lotus Petals and similar, again, you can bump Tezzeret's loyalty. Importantly, it comes in at 4. You -3 him, you're looking for your Soul Ring, your Moxen, your Voltaic Keys, your Shadow, whatever, the fucking equipment that gives trample and lifelink. Shadow, oh god, it's on screen right now. Shadow Spear, that's the one. Jesus Christ. There's actually a pause there that's been cut from the video. I sat for about 30 seconds not being able to remember it. I am getting old. My mind is decaying. But importantly, whatever you go and get as you play it into the battlefield will up its loyalty again. So if you get a 0 or a 1 and you can afford to play the 1, it will pump him back up from the 1 that he goes down to 2, which isn't very high if we're completely honest. You can get a 1-mana or 0-mana artifact creature to protect him, I guess a Memnite or similar. Maybe that's his -3. Is go get a 0-mana Memnite, play it, put him back to 2, and now you just -2 to make a Memnite. That doesn't seem very strong. And his ultimate we're going to talk more about in a moment. Basically his ultimate's good, but it's not even win the game. The emblem requires you to have artifacts in play, which this guy does enable. Importantly, you can't put them on normal creatures. It has to be specifically an artifact, and it animates an artifact that's not already a creature. So in essence, the 0-mana rock that you get off of his -3, or the 1 mana rock you get off his -3, your Soul Rings, your Moxen, they become a little robot soldier to protect him. But again, it doesn't really win the game on the spot, but you have to be careful. He's a 3 mana walker that could be grown through non-conventional means of putting tokens into play, so his ultimate can't just read you in the game. That'd be broken. So where does he have value? Well, the most important thing he can do in a high-powered environment like Vintage or Vintage Cube is that his 0 untaps things. This works for Commander too. So if you have a big mana rock, a Basalt Monolith, for example, that you use to cast Tezzeret, you can then immediately untap the Basalt Monolith, and thus you've got more mana now or for the following turn, and you have to pay for the Basalt Monolith. So that's pretty good. The other way that it goes like truly infinite and kills your opponent is the Time Vault. Time Vault doesn't untap, but when you untap it with Tezzeret, you tap it, you now get an extra turn. Next turn, you use Tezzeret to untap it, and Bob's your uncle. You've won the game. You have infinite turns if your opponents can't destroy one of the 2 things in response. His -3 can go and get you a Voltaic Key equivalent or Manifold Key, so you get one part of that combo too. I genuinely think Tezzeret is very, very, very good in Vintage Cube. That's the place where I think I'll play the most of him. Outside of that, is he playable in Modern or Standard? Maybe. At the moment in the current situation, I just don't think there's enough things making artifacts, token or otherwise, to grow his loyalty high enough to survive being hit. And I'll see you in the next one, fuckheads. Mana artifact and paying 0 to untap something. I'll get into 5 loyalty, which probably doesn't even get him out of range of a creature carrying a monstrous rampage. Although, let's be honest, considering the Pro Tour stats for that deck, that might be banned as of July 30th. Ultimately, I think it's a really cool and interesting design. 3 mana, the fact that it cares about artifacts, like growing it can shoot different things too is quite strong. I guess the card is reasonable in Commander because it's so cheap. It's one of those cards that if you play it onto a rather stacked board, it's going to get like shot by like a flying creature flying overhead. If you play it very early though, it can shoot you up some mana ramp and get you quite far ahead. I think the card is very fun and interesting. I just don't think it's good enough to be in many decks across many formats, mainly being at its highest power when you have access to the best mana rocks available, that being in Vintage Cube, and to a lesser extent Commander. I do think he's going to be relatively easy to ultimate, but the ultimate doesn't win you the game on the spot, so that's a balancing aspect. I guess one of the most terrifying things about him being a 3 mana colorless walker is that he's both castable off of the generation of 3 colorless mana from the latest version of Ugin, and also triggers Ugin too. So if there is real colorless support in the new set to go with this, or real artifact support to go with this, the Tezzeret Ugin artifact deck could be I'm going to say the word fun in inverted commas here, thing. Again, Standard needs some rotations and bans for that to be truly viable, but it's something to consider. He synergizes pretty damn well with big old scary Ugin. I'm going to give the card a completely arbitrary 7 out of 10, and I'll eat my words when this is the most broken shit when it comes out, but I just don't think it is. I've been Vince, also known as PleasantKenobi on the internet. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget there's links down there to Cool Stuff Inc. for North America and magicmadhouse.co.uk for Europe as well, and I'll see you in the next one, fuckheads.